Well, here we are, in person.
We're back
flesh.
again. The best to you.
Let me make sure we are correctly situated and not upside down, inside out. Oh, there we are.
we are.
Here we are. Maybe I need to move over a little bit. Move over a little bit.
Don't
Stay
hit me.
right there. Let's see. Let's see. Good. Wow. Look how clear. Look how clear we are. Beautiful.
Hi.
I just breathed on you.
Well, we're vaccinated, so.
Well, we are at the Dave and Dave Show, episode 107. This has been over a year in the making. Listen, there's no wrong or right way to handle the last year. I know I have, I was talking to Angie about this. I have no regrets on how I handled it. I wouldn't have gone back and changed it any which way I did it.
After a year of staying in, it's almost a little uncomfortable to be out.
Nope.
And for me, and taking adjustment to being in the world again. So it is interesting. I'll say that.
I think everyone did what they had to do, right? I was back here working. I still was up front. Angie was still showing houses. We kind of stopped it at spending time with our friends with no masks on in our house. Like some people had their quarantine couple. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean. Everyone had their justifications, and a lot of people, I feel fortunate that I wasn't forced into situations that I was uncomfortable with. A lot of people didn't have that choice.
Right.
They had to send their kids to school, and
they had to go to work in a situation that got it, and
yeah.
And it's sad because some died because of it. So choice is choice. There's new vaccinations coming out. Dave and I chose to be vaccinated with all our family, and we're pretty happy about it. So let's hope that we get back to normal. Dave was at
I look thinner on Zoom.
Yes, you were at a hockey game.
My muscles look bigger, but I look thinner on Zoom. I look like
right.
a little man next to me.
Oh, is
like
that
a
me?
Little man?
Well,
I was at. I got invited last minute to the Golden Knights game.
Yeah, Danny was there.
And it was kind of creepy with so few people there. But in the first period, I feel like I'm on the floor here. The first period was kind of slow, but then it got action packed super fast.
Became one of the best games ever on the Golden Knights.
All right, I want some energy. Okay, I got a dog underneath me. I got everything going on here. When I get you back in person, I get all of you.
All of
everything. All right, so here we are. Who knows what the futures hold? But I think this isn't even part of what I said we're going to talk about. I think the fact that we're sitting here having this conversation, vaccinations are happening rapidly. All 3 are out now. Government's saying that if you want a vaccination, you'll be vaccinated by May. You're talking about tons of people who either had it or vaccinated or just feel comfortable. I do truly believe that this tsunami of activity is going to come. Now, how does it play out? Are people who've been waiting to buy and sell are going to do it? Or has there been a boredom factor that has played into the market that now that people are going to actually be doing more, is the market going to suffer a little bit?
I both. To answer your question,
there's something right here.
Go ahead. Ow. One of the things of us, see, we're back again. He's pulling hairs out of my eyebrows. So here's what I feel. People that were afraid, and those of you agents that are out there know that some people said, I'm waiting till I feel safe to have people come into my home, to come in, and that time is now, so they're going to come back on the market. And then I also agree with you that it is true that people bought homes because that's all they had was their homes. And now that we're going back to COVID, back to school, back to work, back to more of a normal economy, I think those people will then maybe say that housing may not be their number one priority right now. And then other factors like interest rates notched up this week. We have a lot of things going on in our business.
I think even for my family, the girls are now back to school. We're going on a vacation come the end of March. Like, it is kind of sad in some ways how quickly things are going back to the way they were. You know what I mean? And because there are some intentional things that I believe that I don't want to miss out on the changes that were forced upon us. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be more intentional.
Yeah.
I don't want to just run around like a maniac. I want to really enjoy, like, there's some things I'm like, wow, I really didn't miss this. I really just, for me, it's people. It's experiences like vacationing and being around people.
Well,
Like,
you're
I'm a
going
belly-to-belly
away.
person.
You're going away a little bit this weekend, and I'm getting your girls, and they want to do traditional things of watching shows we watched and food I cooked. So back to normalcy. So I agree. There's good and bad to everything, but I think it's great, and I hope we go more and more, less and less people dying, and back to again a thriving economy. That restaurants. They said today on TV, who didn't see it, that TV, next week, the governor said that it's gonna go to 50% occupancy. He approved soccer, back to sports.
Intramurals, the whole nine. Like, here's the thing. Like, this is the most pragmatic, middle of the road assessment I can give. I think it was a great Bill Maher, if you watch him, episode last week. You got polar opposites. You have, let's say, California that overregulates everything, that you can't get anything done. And then you got Texas that underregulates everything, and you end up with multiple blackouts and all sorts of crazy stuff. There is a happy middle. And for those, we like to stay away from politics, but the beauty of this state is we are very down the middle, right? Our last two governors have been moderates. Sandoval was a Republican, that was a moderate. Sisolak is a Democrat, that's a moderate. We kind of represent this country in a way, so I believe our rollout will be kind of in the middle. You know what I mean?
I am curious. Again, I don't judge. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in Texas, because they opened 100% with no mask, so they could be.
Someone's got to be first. It is what it is.
And they're first. So I'm glad we're not. And I hope that rollout causes no increase of coronavirus, and that it spreads throughout the country. But I'm glad we're not the one to do that.
It's an interesting game. Like, you know, now that we're vaccinated, or I'm vaccinated, and you're vaccinated, I can understand people that were just cool with it, feeling like, man, I can't do anything. Because now I have this, whether it's a false sense of security or a sense of security, it was always about the outlier with our family, because we have a new baby and whatnot. It was just being that much more, and you with your advanced age, and you know.
Whoa.
But
no, and I have a pre-existing condition,
yes.
And I don't mind if I get COVID. I don't want to die from COVID.
Exactly, and this, we felt like it was already a very small percentage of something bad happening.
Mm-hmm.
This hopefully takes off that outlier right off the game.
Exactly, and friends of ours, parents died this week in my age group. So our heart breaks for those people that passed from COVID. And
Dan, is it getting fuzzy on that? Okay, because it's a little fuzzy on this.
So the only thing I could say is kudos. I hope you get a shot. I hope you have your way of dealing with it. And I hope our positivity rate is now down to like 7.9. And I hope it goes down to 1% and we're all wild. Casinos are opening.
Book your trips now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's gonna be a flood of people coming out. Everyone's been pent up. So regardless, I think it's gonna hit a crescendo of everyone coming. And there's limited things you can do. It's pretty much Mexico, Hawaii, and I believe Vegas is gonna be on the short list for a lot of those things. Like, all right, let's do the weekend.
Well, let's be real. All the pools this week, 3 of the MGMs are opening 24/7. All the pools are opening in the next few days. The weather's getting hot. Daylight savings time is the night of the 13th to the 14th of this month. So we're roaring in, you know, and I would say be safe. The restaurant's going to 50% next week. In fairness to the governor, as that rate drops, he is changing things by the week, saying, "Wow, the numbers are phenomenal."
It's going to be a race now. It's basically vaccine in arms, opening up. You know, here we go. In hindsight, again, not just. I mean, I will say this to the end of Earth, the end of time. I think you need to look back at 2020 in this pandemic situation and really say, how could I look back and say it was the greatest year of my life? Like, how did things change for me? What decisions did I make? What mindset shift did I have that made me be like, you know what, no more of this. No more of this. And I think some of these, we're going to have to be cognizant and look for it, because you're not going to realize it for a lot of people until now. You just jump right back onto the hamster wheel, and I think that's the problem. Like, let's not jump right back into the hamster wheel. Let's slow the process, and that's why I'm really curious to see how it affects the real estate industry. And
Well, I think some people are going to be wearing T-shirts, "I survived 2020," because that's sort of the survival mode. A lot of restaurants to survive, a lot of lives to survive, a lot of businesses to survive, a lot of kids that were having all issues about being home. The girls, let's talk about your girls. How are they after going to school?
they're super excited, and then they're really excited that they're going to be going back full time in less than a month.
Yeah.
You know, and then but you have people who've been going the entire time. So,
So kids never again say, "I hate school."
and
There's a lesson.
Well,
you
no,
talk about
I
lesson.
had the conversation with the girls, and I said, you know, the key to life is to be so grateful and live in the moment that you don't have to wait till something's taken from you in order to appreciate it and really value it. And if you can live inside of that perspective more often than not, then that's the key. Like, there's a great saying, you know, when you wake up, it's a miracle you've woken up.
Right.
It's just a miracle you've woken up, that you're literally walking and talking and seeing and breathing and whatnot. And I know that's kind of whatever, but that's the key.
That's reality. I totally agree. I don't think it's woo-woo. I think it's, I open my eyes every day and with a smile. And you used to call me Mr. Obnoxious when I woke up, because
I heard you like shuffling around and whatnot, and that brings, I did post it. It brings us full circle to today's my buddy Danny's birthday. You see my post?
I did.
And every year I talk about him. It's just, it's a heartbreaking story, but it's a story of perspective. You know. Hey.
Sorry.
But story of perspective of
Put her in that room.
of the story is one of my best friends, like a brother to me growing up, got leukemia in his senior year of high school, and he beat it. He was a champion through it. He had it figured out naturally. He was one of those people who was just a happy guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we went to college together, high school together. We were really close. And after he went into full remission and was getting his life like fully going, he had a tragic accident getting out of the wrong side of a car, and it's just like, oh my God, he beat leukemia, and then the most random thing happened. And it's like, if you beat 2020 and don't get the gift, I mean, come on, you know what I mean? So I think that's the perspective we have to have. Like, when I'm feeling sorry for myself, or I'm down in the dumps, and I'm thinking about Danny, or I'm thinking about my kids, I think that's the perspective. So, all right, let's talk about real
I
estate.
still have a hard time even talking about that.
I know, so do I. So let's get into some real estate stuff. Okay, so I'm trying to have a higher level of consciousness with something. We were ready to hire an amazing agent, and she ended up going to another company that is doing kickbacks on other services, and it was so disheartening to me, and I wanted to kind of rail out and be like, oh, what a dirty company. And I was like, you know what, I want to be above that, and basically be like, listen, it's not about the other company, it's about us, right? Like, we have to give a compelling vision. And what does this mean? This means, where are you aligned with your values, right? And I think this means something for realtors.
Mm-hmm.
Because realtors right now are getting, and this is part of the Deja Vu all over again conversation I had, video a couple days ago, of there's this feeling of like you're losing out on business or you're losing out on opportunities because you're not willing to cut the corners and play the game a little dirty. And then you got to say, like, rather than being angry at the other people or builders or other companies or whatever, just be like, you know what? I'm going to do me. I'm going to show up at the highest level, and that's all I can control.
What's our number one core value?
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. If we started giving kickback, if you use this title company or this mortgage company or this, and then we'll pay rents, our first core value is gone. Do the right thing. So, other companies, God bless you. I hope you don't get caught because you're not doing the right thing.
It's as simple as that. So how do you know? If you can't put it in writing, an incentive, then it's probably not legal. So a little something, because here's what happens. People say, oh, it doesn't affect me, right?
Right.
I just hang my license there. And to me, who you align yourself with is a direct reflection of who you are.
And then the other thing they say is, well, the broker's doing the wrong thing, and by me accepting it doesn't mean I'm doing the wrong thing. Well, if a TV falls off the truck into my arms...
People are not going to understand that.
All right, so in New York, they used to say steal TVs, and they would call you up and say, they would call... We're all going after my dog. Danny, put her in the other room. And
I need some perspective right now.
And and they stole a TV and then you bought it. You were just as culpable of stealing the TV by buying it. So my only thing I'm saying is, if you think you're innocent by getting it, you are not. You're just as guilty by receiving something that is illegal to do. So that's my only thing.
If you're doing business right, you don't need to play in that game. It's as simple as that. Everything's going to work out anyhow. You're going to do your business. You're going to carve out your niche. And here's the thing: like, people, you get frustrated on this, and you're half right. When I tell agents all the time, I'm like, listen, because we see our agents go from like right here to here, and they seem to flourish inside of our company and of our environment. And I always say, like, I'm not going to take credit or you for their success, because they put in the work. They're the ones doing the day-to-day stuff. And you're like, well, we should take a look. And I'm like, here's where I'll meet you halfway. We do establish the environment. We do lead our company. And you are a product of your environment. It's a conversation between nature and nurture. And nature is who you are, what you're bringing to the table. Like, that is hard. Your DNA, like, for instance, I'm sure you feel this about me. I can see this with my kids now. Ella's not going to be 10 years old. She is the same little human being she was when she was born. Like, Ella's Ella. But who Ella becomes to an extent is going to take place of how Angie and I raise her, what school she goes to, who her friends are. That's how you're a product of your environment. That's how nurture can impact nature so importantly. That's why networking is so important.
And as far as the success path, if you're worrying about typical things like, we delivered a check to the agent the day after they get it from escrow. So if you're worrying about, is my money good? Am I going to get my money? Am I going to get
That has nothing to do with, what are you talking about? We're talking about environment.
I'm talking about the environment of a company. Don't you understand?
No, but that's like one of the
that's
other
environment though. Because when was my worst production is when I was with a company that was not doing the right thing or falling apart.
Well, that's trying to get out of the environment.
Right.
But
So
yes.
what I'm saying is the environment you live in at work does affect your production too. So
Without a doubt.
That's
I think
all.
we're
That's-
going. You're going to China to get to Mexico. I'm going directly there.
I like stopping at China
Yeah,
first.
you're going, and you're talking very loudly into my ear. You've been a loud talker lately.
I had my hearing checked. There's nothing wrong.
I'm going to put you back on Zoom.
Hallelujah.
So let's go. The environment doesn't matter, and what I mean by that is also, if are your values aligned with the people that you're with, and that's where I'm like, when people just, I get frustrated, and I know I gotta stay in my lane. Like, keep doing your own thing, and this is the same thing that we tell our agents, we tell everybody else, is, listen, you are waiting for karma to catch up to the people who aren't doing it the right way, but the reality is, don't wait for karma, just do it the right way. What are you doing?
Nothing. Nothing, I'm watching you.
So, okay. Let's talk about something that interests you. Are we heading to less than 2,000 single-family homes?
Oh my goodness, that is such a great question. Here's what happened this week. We went to like 2,100 single-family homes between Green Valley, not the outlying of the Vegas, but the actual Vegas. And factors have happened that may change that this week. Number one, the interest rate went up a little bit.
How much?
Some people were getting quoted 3.25, still ridiculously low. 3.5 for the high. And
just enough though to get people off of a refi.
Either to get off a refi or say, oh my God, I better get a house. And the point you're talking about, we have all noticed that the city has opened up again. So now priorities happen when you are sheltered in one place. So certain people, when they
that's why the stock market has so much money in it and so much Bitcoin, because people are trading because they got nothing else to do.
Exactly.
They're pumping
so
money into the
they're buying houses because the house became the number one item. I need a bigger house. I need a home office. I need a home gym. I need a bigger backyard.
You're buying something because you can't travel somewhere.
Right. I need a pool because the kids are going to be there. So priorities have changed. But the point you just made, you're going on vacation, George is going on vacation, I'm going on vacation. So the home maybe not becomes as much as a priority, and maybe inventory will go up a little bit and make it a little easier to buy a home. Now, do I think it's going to stop in its tracks? Absolutely not. But we could use right now a little break of people going.
It's a sustainability issue. And I think you cannot go like balls to the wall vertical for too long, because things then will crumble. There's not enough runway for the climbing. And I think one of the things to look not forward to, but look to watch, and we talked about this on the Broker Roundtable internally yesterday, is forbearances, foreclosures, and how it keeps getting pushed down the line.
And I think that push, one of our agents said, oh, she heard it's going to go, think of things in quarters, right? That's how the government works. So we're already in the end of the first quarter.
No, we just started the third month of the first quarter.
Yeah, so we're almost to the end of the first quarter. Second quarter, they already have said we're going to do it. So second quarter is April, May, June. If the economy comes bounding back, July 1, the forbearances would end.
I'm betting on September.
You're betting on September 30th. Okay. But let's say July 1, what Dave's point is, for those who don't understand what forbearance is, you don't have to pay your mortgage. Not forgiving your mortgage. You don't have to pay your mortgage. You don't have to pay your mortgage.
Getting a delay.
You're delaying it. So now it's been delayed over a year. And now it's time to pay the piper. So what are the mortgage companies doing? They're saying you could go 3 months behind. Some of them are adding it to the mortgage. Some of them are saying it's due now. In that case, are there going to be foreclosures? No.
Yeah, maybe some.
Some, but equity. Most people have equity.
What's going to happen is this.
We'll have
the
more
people who rented are going to be able to be like, I'm out of my rental and I got away scot-free. Hopefully they weren't strategically doing that. You know, that's where, like, listen, I am a bleeding heart and I want to take care of the little guy, but then you get so mad at the person who works the system. And that is the most bipartisan thing that's ever happened. That people love working the system, right? So that's one end of it. But the other end of it is people are just going to walk away from their rentals because now they're going to have to pay. So the landlords are going to have to make a decision. Am I going to try to collect everything, or am I just going to foreclose, or excuse me, evict, right? Then on the housing side, what you're saying is the banks are going to say, they're going to have a quick trigger finger because there's equity on the table,
Yeah.
which was not on the table in 2008.
Right.
And there's equity on the table.
So the banks are going to say, pay me or list it.
Pay me or list it. Now, if all these houses come on the market at the same time because they owe money, that may slow it down or maybe even watch it go down. I do believe that there are people waiting to buy all those up. And I do believe there's so much people that are flush with cash that are waiting to see a 10% drop in the market.
And that's I'm chair of the legislative committee for our state, and speaking to assembly people, they asked me a very pertinent question. They said, who's buying the homes now? Are investors buying the homes? And I said, oh no.
No, they are.
No, there isn't a lot of investors.
They are. There are people that are looking to park their money. Not like there was in 2012. There are. I'm inside of the market. There are people everywhere trying to get. Listen, people are trying to fight inflation. They're trying to get their money parked somewhere.
I'm not talking about that. They're asking, who are your majority of buyers?
People looking for themselves.
Thank you.
But it still is higher than you're even talking about.
Right.
People are trying to get in the market.
Well,
and trying
a lot
to
of
invest.
people are looking to park. But understand, they said, well, who's selling? I said, all the mom and pop landlords when their tenants finally move. And they said, why? And I said, because they can't get any rent. In other words, they haven't collected rent all that time. So what they're looking to do is sell their properties. The people buying those properties are homeowners that the inventory is so low. So the investors, what they're talking about, I said, will only come back is if the prices drop and we get a glut of
No, there's still
money.
flippers, there's still wholesalers, there's still
No,
they're
and the
coming in
flippers,
droves
the-
because everything's going like that. They still see a ton of area. I think, but you're right. There are people like me, for instance, that are more conservative with their money. That is going to wait for a dip and come in and not care about the interest rates.
Also, very hard for the flippers when the houses are going so high to take the money and
Not
make it
necessarily,
well,
though.
if they get an ugly house, it's a different thing.
Even then, though, there's still room to be built, to be built on, because prices are still like that.
Well,
I think you're
I'll
gonna
give you an
see-
example like of Red Rock Country Club. We had 10 to 15% of our inventory was flippers. And now the flippers in there are non-existent because the prices are so
No,
high.
they're non-existent because there's only 9 listings on the freaking
Well, there's
available.
some
Of
doors
course
there
there's.
they could buy. But what I'm saying is, and you could disagree
I
all you
disagree
want,
with you.
I'll challenge you on the numbers, or we could go to our thing. The investors aren't buying in a time where the prices are so high, and the assembly people thought that investors to rent, not flip, but to rent, were gonna buy them to rent, and we stated, why would you buy something to rent when you can't guarantee you're gonna get a penny of rent?
Well, what people are doing is they're getting upfront rent.
Yeah, well, there's ways to
So
do it.
high-end rentals are, you can't touch them. The rental market, I would argue, is stronger, is even nuttier,
Well, it's crazy because there's no inventory.
right? So a
I
lot of
agree.
people pulling money off the table because they're like, listen, it is, if my house before the pandemic was maybe worth 1.25 million. And I am very confident that I can get 1.8 today. That is insanity. And I know
Well, that's insanity.
it's
is
going to
why.
go back to like 1.3, 1.2. And it's like, some people are strategically saying, I want to pull that 500,000 or 600,000. For some people, it's 100,000. For some people, it's 200,000. I want to pull that off and wait on the sidelines and jump back in. Who knows if that's going to work or not?
They did that, remember the last time?
Yeah.
They did the same thing on 08. They sold everything in 06. They went and rented houses, and then they bought back in 08, 09 when the prices
And
crashed.
some people are going to get caught because there still are flippers out there. There still are high-end renters. My community of 300 houses is completely bare now. I think one came on the market yesterday, but it's completely bare. And there were 2 houses that were on the market for 190 to 210 days. Okay?
and they were gone.
Angie and I were like, maybe we should buy one, because we were like, if we sell our own house, we need a place to live. We have friends that are renting left and right, just a rental for friends.
Mm-hmm.
We can fill that thing forever. And the minute we decided to do it, they were both gone that day. Both gone. Now you're talking 190 to 200 days.
What about we met an agent while we were out and about, and he had a listing for 369 days. Remember? And he said he could not sell it, and he sold it in 1 day last week. Closed in 6 days later. So, and that's in the multi-million market. So it's definitely
which is the number. The 1.5 to 2.5 million is hot as can be. That's why you're
Yes.
seeing a lot of high-end agents crushing it. Even in Summerlin, there's a huge gap right there, right? So once everything is creeping up towards $1 million, you're talking about the Paseos and the Vistas. You're talking $800-900 million for a nice track home, but it's a Lennar 3,300 square foot home in the Summerlin is now $1 million.
Yeah.
So that's a shift.
I have a friend that wants to list his home where Georgia lives, up in Paseo,
Yeah. Okay.
and he said he's going to ask $1 million for a 30.
And he'll get it.
Yeah, and the one that sold for $895, they're gutting it.
Yeah.
Now, when I say gutted, I mean floors, cabinets, whatever, and paid $895. And this house doesn't need any work, and he's thinking of $1 million. And my answer is, now's the time,
Get it while you can.
because
Yeah,
the
well-
market is what it is, and it may not be that market later on.
Market's fickle. You know, that was the point I really needed to bring home on some of my personal videos. Is this isn't going to last forever? It's not only is it unsustainable. I've been around long enough now to say deja vu all over again. He's been around through about 4 cycles of this. Like,
Be nice.
It is what it is. Like, it isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So that's when it's like, sellers, be rational. Get your money, don't get too greedy, and run. Buyers, have some resiliency. Eventually it's going to turn, and you're going to be able to get your properties. You're going to be able to make offers on things you want. It's going to happen. You know, people in the industry, you know, don't cut your nose to spite your face for one deal that's going to last with you forever, and you're going to get defined by you playing the short-term game. And I do think there are a couple of things, back to this original point, that could potentially change things quickly. If you have a perfect storm of higher interest rates, California leveling off, forbearances and foreclosures getting called due, that is enough where someone goes, you know what, screw you, Mr. Buyer, I only want 1.2 and I want you to waive your first child in order to get this. And then a week later, they're begging for 1.1.
Right.
That is where you have to have that perspective and that foresight.
And the point about California where you're making is basically 60% of our buyers are from California. So if California levels off, those buyers for us level off.
Without a doubt.
And
People are going to pick
then
Newport
throw
Beach
in-
over
right.
Summerlin
Right.
if everything's equal.
so then when you talk around at what you're saying and add those factors, that's the difference. In other words, where the market could, it is very heated right now. So that could be a difference.
But before that does happen, I do believe it's going to get even crazier. And I do believe we're going to see under 2,000 single-family homes available for the first time in the history of this.
Well, that we both agree on.
And I do also believe that we're going to be in a 10-day supply.
We both agree on that too.
And this is where, like, I can't say this enough. You're going to be tested. If you're any way in this industry, whether you're selling your house, whether you're buying your house, whether you're an executive if you're a builder and you're an executive in a meeting saying, how should we deal with agents? Remember that it's going to end. If you're an escrow officer and you are just working so hard because you're closing refis and you're closing purchases and agents are being really difficult, remember that this is going to end. If you're an agent, remember that you have the perspective and you're the one. Don't lose your cool. I can't say this enough because, listen, we have 470 agents and every day we're hearing stories of people just being, excuse me, but shitty. Because this is exposing and showing people, like, can you keep your cool at the hardest time?
Mm-hmm.
Can you show up when things are difficult? Because anyone can make it in a good market where it's, before it hits fever pitch or before it's a really bad market. Any realtor can open a door or put it on the MLS. But are you the realtor? Are you the industry person who can thrive in the hardest of markets? That's what sets people apart.
I agree with that. I agree that, unfortunately, when things get tough, a lot of things come up that are not pretty. I'll say it like that. That shouldn't come up. So again, do the right thing. Our mantra of what it is. In this market, you better do the right thing, because as the market changes, you remember who did the right thing and who didn't bother to do the right thing in a hot market.
So a couple of things to keep in mind. We were talking about this. When you're making an offer, how about contingencies? We just talked about this in one of our meetings, right? So this is doing the right thing. If you have to sell your house and to buy a house, you should be disclosing that.
That's a contingency.
That's a contingency, unless you're willing to own both houses at the same time. Still not as optimal unless you're willing to lose your earnest money because you didn't sell your house in time. Like, don't be the agent who's scummy and like playing the game. Like, if I did a deal with an agent who said there was no contingency, there was no house that needed to be sold, and then we were at the 11th hour, and they tried getting out on a loan contingency, which, good luck, I'm not letting you out on that. And my seller is buying another house and needs the money for this to close. I am holding you accountable as an agent like that for the rest of your life. Like, obviously, I'm still going to take offers whenever you can, but your reputation just got tarnished. And that's where, bring it completely full circle, the quality of the leadership and the recommendations and the training of the people that you are asking questions for will determine where you're at. So if you're getting, this is why I feel like a lot of agents, it's not really their fault, but listen, I will give you a break if, like, let's say you ended up with shitty parents. Fine, you can't control that, right? Or you put your license at a brokerage that you didn't know better. That's at it. You made a wrong choice, fine. You can't pick your parents, fine. But then it becomes your fault if you don't change your situation. You get what I'm saying?
It's so much easier just on that contingency thing, just to be honest and say, yeah, they got a house to sell. It's on Jones Street. I'm going to price it at X dollars, and it's going to sell even higher. Then try to play the contingency game, and then they see it come on the market, and then the agent doesn't trust you. And when you lose the trust of the other agent, then the further deals will be just as bad for you.
And also commission. Now, we're not supposed to talk commission in respect of what you charge and what you get, right? Because that's antitrust, and it's the best way to describe antitrust is we have four gas stations on one corner, and they all collude to charge the same amount so that they all get more, right? Rather than trying to, I'm going to be the cheapest gas station on the corner, and this is going to be the more expensive gas station, right? That's true competition. Antitrust.
Which was fun in New York. That used to happen, and each day they would each go down by a penny. They'd always be out changing, the old days when they had the numbers.
I remember. Well, I'm gonna sound old. $10 used to fill up my Ford Escort for 300 miles, and I paid cash, and he did it himself because in New York they pumped it for you. But back to commission, like, a lot of agents are getting frustrated because commissions are getting tight, and that happens in a market like this, right?
Why do I need you?
Exactly, like, it gets tight, and this is two things. One, this is where you really have to be a consultant in real estate services. Like, if you're not showing your value, then I don't want to say you don't deserve the commission, but you better show your value to really own up to it. Like, if they're not looking at you as someone who's bringing something to the table that makes a difference, then maybe you really don't have as much a leg to stand on to fight it. Two, a lot of times you can still show your value, but you're still going to get crushed in this environment. This is where you play the long-term game of taking care of your people regardless of what you're getting paid, so that no matter what, they take care of you in the future. So the best example, I said this yesterday, I think I'll never forget, it's the $80,000 condo that this young woman, this like 20-year-old wanted to buy near UNLV, and nobody wanted to help her because it was a low commission, it's a tough place to show houses, and I showed her the house and I sold it, right? And I didn't make a lot of commission. What you don't know is I showed up for her at such a high level that I didn't realize at the time that her uncle was buying her this condo cash, right? It wasn't the hardest deal in the world. It was, you know, it's like doing a rental. Like, it's not a huge payoff. Well, the uncle was so impressed that I helped his niece out, and I didn't realize he was rich or whatever. He ended up buying a second home for $1.5 million. And he didn't realize that the $80,000 condo was connected to the $1.5 million Red Rock home. And that's doing the right thing and putting the work first and having faith that it will pay off and pay you. Because truly, it's a giving mindset.
Just like we had the realtor this year, brand new, that did 42 rentals. And by the end of the year, he had 10 sales.
Exactly.
Rentals turned into sales. He put in the work, did 40. Who wants to do 42 rentals? That'll take your hair out of your head.
Well, he doesn't have any.
I know.
Also, so I'm not going to put builders on blast here, but I will say there's some really good builders out there, and there's some builders who are not friendly to realtors. I'm in the respect, like, and then they're going to want, and we let them in even after 2007 and 2008,
Yeah,
and they were not cool. In 2012 when we opened, a lot of people had long memories. We let them back in. A lot of apologies because all of a sudden they don't want to work with realtors, right? They're corporations that are Wall Street backed that have shareholders and they're trying to get their margins. Why have realtors, right? And in some respect, why have realtors? If you're a realtor that's just showing up to the builder and putting your name on the deal, different game of walking through the contract because it's different, making sure they're not over improving the home through the design center, taking care of all the crazy contingencies in a builder contract. Like if you're not earning
Getting
money,
them a lot
exactly.
right now is very hard, and you know how to get a lot.
So these things again. So but builders, they may see 8 out of 10 realtors and they go 8 out of 10. Why are we even paying these people? You know, right? But when it's a tough market, when it's a buyer's market,
Then they give us a Mercedes.
exactly. So builders keep some foresight. But even if you have a client that wants to buy from a builder that isn't really paying well, you still take care of them. You still take care of them. You don't bitch about the builder, you suck it up and off you go. You do the right thing for your client, right? Because A, it's the right thing to do, and B, there's tons of business connected to that, and that's like putting deeper and deeper and deeper foundations and layers of foundations in place. Like, man, when it wasn't so great for my realtor or my friend who's a realtor, they still took care of me. I'll never forget, Rich bought a house in Southern Highlands before the crash. And the builder at the time, that's I think now is purchased by Pulte, was paying $495. And this is what I said to him. I go, listen, I don't even want the $495 because I don't want the liability to go with your house. That being said, I'm going to help you with the entire thing because you're my friend and I love you and we'll take care of you. Now, he's my friend. I stood in his wedding twice. but you know, that's being a true friend. Like, what kind of friend would I be if I was like, oh, you're on your own, I'm not getting paid? Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's doing the right thing. Now, he's my buddy. He's always taking care of me for the hell out of me, and he's loyal. But I didn't leave him hanging at the hardest time because I wasn't getting paid off. And that is part of that whole game, that whole thing. So, all right, anything else? Remember what Ralph Cramden said, be nice to people you meet on the way up, you meet the same people on the way down. Great point. Or as I like to say, be careful of the toes you step on. May one day be connected to the ass you have to kiss. All right, Pops, what's your parting shot? I think that's enough before I...
My parting shot is the market. April next month is going to be 44 years that I have my license and been in this business. And the market's going to go up and down. You're always going to need a house. You need a house now for your primary residence and you need to buy. Work with a realtor that will get you that house at this lower interest rate. If you're not sure, then wait, if that's your choice. But right now, these interest rates, are never going to be as low, and I would tell you go for it while you could.
And my thing would be, you are a product of your environment. It's super, super important to know that. And don't think, that's why they say you are the average of the 5 people you spend time with. But you're also the average intelligence of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You make the average money of the 5 people you spend time with. If the 5 people you spend the most time with are divorced, you're probably going to be divorced. The 5 people that you spend the most time with are alcoholics, so you're probably going to be alcoholic. Like, that who it is. If the 5 people that you spend the most time with are leveling up and doing the right thing and doubling down on themselves and not afraid to work, then you're going to get pulled up with them. So don't sit and discount the environment, because it's very underrated on where it is. And that is part of the game. And I think people are like so in their silos. Listen, you can be a fantastic realtor without a great broker or a great company. That is possible. But you're leaving so much growth and opportunity on the table by not finding a like-minded person. So don't get stuck on the monthly fees, don't get stuck on the nonsense, because it's an investment in your environment that matters. That's all I got.
Great.
All right, take care.